My name is M. Shelley Connor, and I'm a writer. I've been writing professionally for over 2 decades, but certainly writing as a practice all my life. I write Black queer folks in Black communities, Black families, Black friends, Black relationships. Why do I write? Why do people breathe? Because we have to. We have no choice. It is really that compelling for me. It's how I process the world. It's how I engage with the world in different nuanced ways. I write the things that I wish I would have been able to read. I write to engage with the things that I have read. I think people are aware of my discipline that I have towards my craft, but I don't think people generally are aware of what writing actually entails, right? I don't think they're aware of the level of research that entails. Yes, I am making up stories and I am making up characters, but it involves a large amount of research and world building. I am creating more stories about Black lives and Black characters and Black queer characters. I'm currently working on my second novel that I'm really, really excited about. It's allowing me to integrate a lot of my experiences that I'm having as a new homesteader here in Arkansas. I'm a beginning homesteader. Well, my wife Tiffany and I are beginning homesteaders. This is the mission of Connor Homestead, to provide a community space that facilitates a self-sustainable writing life praxis for Black queer writers. What I'm most proud of is using the homestead to create a safe space for marginalized writers, especially Black queer writers, to be able to learn some of the self-sustainable living practices that I've identified and integrated into my writing practice. And so I'd love to be able to share that with the writing community and the marginalized writing community. A common misconception is that writers don't need financial support. Nothing could be further from the truth. Oftentimes, we're writing, we have to have another job, a full-time job in order to support us. As writers, we often rely heavily on our spouses and family members for financial support. So it's incredibly validating, but also it helps with the writing process, having financial support. It's incredibly validating to me as a writer. We spend a great deal of time alone, whether we're researching or writing. It can be a lonely process. When the arts community recognizes the discipline, the craft, and not just for something that I've written. My first novel has been published. It was published in 2021, but what I'm currently working on, and to be able to have someone say, we see your vision and we think it's amazing and want to be able to support you financially.
Hey Arkansas Art Council, I'm Brian Hurt, and I'm a short story writer and novelist living in Fayetteville, Arkansas. Winning the Individual Artist Award meant everything to me. It gave me the opportunity to complete my first novel, The Magic Hole, When you're working on a large-scale project like a novel, you're doing it often a little bit in the dark. You're not sure what's good or not good, what's working or not working. And one thing that the Individual Artist Award did was give me the confidence to know that I was on the right track. So I want to thank everyone at the Arkansas Arts Council who makes all of this possible. All of the folks who work tirelessly behind the scenes, and all the support that they offer to the arts and the artists. It means everything. If you're an artist living in Arkansas, I encourage you to apply for the award because, like I said, the support is just incredible. Thank you guys. Bye.
My name is Michael Ray Taylor, and I won the award for novel and memoir writing. I've been doing memoir writing for my whole career, which is close to 40 years now. Novel writing, I've just begun, and that's really what makes my story unusual. But it was the novel I submitted for the award, which gives me great encouragement to continue with the fiction. And Hidden Nature is about really my whole life exploring the caves of the South, you know, from Arkansas to Tennessee to Alabama and Georgia. But in the novel, I wanted it to focus on characters and current issues and things the average reader could relate to. So the caves are just sort of off on the side and pop up now and then in certain chapters. I've always been in love with stories and reading and books. From my earliest memories. A long hobby of mine had been exploring caves. The caves are exploration and discovery for me, and they create a sense of wonder. When I was a 19-year-old college student in North Florida at Florida State University, I was crawling into caves just because it was fun. I had always gone out in nature. I like canoeing. I like hiking. This was an aspect of nature I had never really had a chance to explore. But then as I started writing about caves for magazines, I had a chance to travel with scientists who studied them and learn new things about life, not just in caves, but life on Earth, from the unusual microbes and other life that's adapted to the dark. And I became kind of an amateur scientist because I hung around with a lot of them writing my first two books, Cave Passages and Dark Life. When I was a professor at Henderson, I became good friends with a biology professor there, a guy named James Ingman, and he was interested in caves also. So we put together a group of undergraduate students and started some projects that cavers told me about areas that had never been explored for unusual microbiology, but there was a lot of potential in Tennessee. And we have found microorganisms that are found nowhere else on Earth except in the deep smokers of the Pacific Ocean. And that raises the big question, how is the closest cousin of something that lives in the middle of the Pacific Ocean living in a cave in the middle of Tennessee? And the answer seems to be there is this deep biosphere that's connected to the surface, but only in a few places, and has an unseen influence on life on Earth. Well, the Fellowship Award, not only for me, but for everyone who gets one, it does two things. First, it gives you a little bit of financial space where whatever the day job is, you can hold off on it a little bit because this award is giving you time to write or paint or sculpt or whatever it is that you do. But the second thing it gives you is some validation, and it puts you in touch with a community of creative people all over Arkansas. You know, we are not in New York City. You can't go down to a cafe and have literary conversation, but you can among your fellow individual artist award winners, and it just gives you encouragement to press on. But it's been very gratifying for me to not only hear from readers who are just interested in the subject, but when a kid in junior high or high school reads Hidden Nature or one of my other science books and becomes interested in caves and sends me emails, you know, that's the best kind of reward for being a writer. And I've gotten a lot of those sorts of emails from kids, and I've been writing long enough that they went on to get PhDs, and they're now working scientists today. But in the meanwhile, I've taken some more nonfiction writing assignments. I'm doing an article right now for Arkansas Times to run in January about an issue on Buffalo National River. I'm working on both the revision of my first novel and continuing my second. I'm about a quarter of the way into the second novel at this moment. The novel is not yet published, but I think I'm close to it. And certainly this grant helped me get there.